Hello and welcome back. It's time for another episode of the news you missed, the weekly recap, where I take a lot of the major gaming stories and recap them here for you. You don't want to be out of the loop, so make sure you click that subscribe button and stick around as I recap the weekly gaming news every week. Allow me to entertain you for a while. I'm going to let you know I have a Discord, a Twitter if you'd like to follow me on those social media platforms, submit news stories, or chit-chat to my followers. You can always support me on Patreon and earn chances to win gaming consoles for just being subscribed to me here and supporting me there. Now, without further ado, we're going to just go ahead and jump right into the news. And the first story I want to cover is a rumor that Nintendo are planning to enter the mobile market. Specifically a phone market. So I guess people are assuming that Nintendo are going to be making a cellular phone device. Something more akin to an actual phone that you would use on a daily basis. There have been a set of companies that have been trying to enter the smartphone market, which are pretty strange and uncommon and unheard of. So Nintendo entering the market wouldn't be so uncommon and unheard of, as they already have their foot in the mobile marketplace with several of their games and partners in gaming. There was a quote that was given, but basically what they're saying is that there's a niche market segment. Other players, Xiaomi, Vivo, Nintendo, and Nubia, are strengthening their presence in the market or planning to enter it, and that's according to sources. So, speculation aside, and investors, a lot of these people don't know much about gaming and the gaming market, so you can take it for what it's worth. If Nintendo does enter the market in terms of cell phone, I'm not really sure how that would go down. Sony in the past has entered the smartphone market, but Sony is a giant corporation that oversees much more than just gaming. Therefore, it's not surprising at all. But when they enter the market for a video gaming oriented smartphone or phone type situation, it did not work out very well at all, and it was quickly canceled after being undersold quite a bit. So, to say that Nintendo would enter and be successful would be a very curious question. Would they be successful? Would you buy a Nintendo smartphone? And if so, what would cause you to buy that smartphone? Inclusion of specific games, exclusivity for games, or just the fact that they would bundle a specific controller? You let me know in the comments down below. Now I'm going to move on. Konami is announcing anniversary collections, Arcade Classics, Castlevania Anniversary Collection, and Contra Anniversary Collection for the Nintendo Switch. Now, last week I had noted that there was a leak for a ratings board for Castlevania Anniversary Collection, but it seems that we're getting two more, the Contra and Arcade. Now, what follows is on the Arcade, you're going to get Haunted Castle, Typhoon, which is in brackets Ajax, Nemesis, again in brackets Gradius. We have Gradius 3, Life Force in brackets Salamander, Thundercross, Scramble, and Twin B. These are the arcade classics, a lot of them being very well-known shooters. So those are nice, it's awesome, shoot 'em ups, shmups, whichever way you say it. The Castlevania collection is including Castlevania, Castlevania 2, Balmont's Revenge, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, and Castlevania 4. That's Super Castlevania 4, when every game on the Super Nintendo was being called Super. So there you go. And there's also going to be 4 mystery games with that, so you can only imagine what they're going to include. I'm going to go ahead and lean hard towards Symphony of the Night. And if you don't, I don't know why, but I'm fairly certain they'll include Symphony of the Night. And then you have, with the Contra Anniversary Collection, Contra, Super C, Contra 3, The Alien Wars, and again, 4 mystery games. Not really sure what they're going to include with the Contra mystery games, but yeah, all of them supposedly are going to include some type of booklet, so that's nice. It's what they do with anniversary collections, and again, this will come to the Switch. These games are supposedly going to be costing around $19.99 and are going to launch digitally April 18th. So yeah, it's a shame that they're going to be digital, because I definitely like to keep collection discs and game cartridges myself. I don't know about you, but that's exciting to be able to play these games collectively on the Switch. Moving on, we have Castle Crashers Remastered coming to the PlayStation 4 and the Switch Ladies and gentlemen, in 2015, Castle Crashers Remastered was launching on the Xbox One. I have it. It's a great game. If you've never played Castle Crashers, it's an awesome cooperative beat-em-up type game. Very, very fun. It has RPG mechanics in it. Allows you to go and beat up tons of minions and then mini bosses and then finally big bosses. Go through multiple levels. Just an awesome game. If you have friends or you don't have friends, it's still a very, very fun game. Now this game is going to run at 60 frames per second as opposed to the original's 30 frames per second, according to the developer's blog. There's going to be a new multiplayer minigame that is unique to this remastered version called Back Off Barbarian, as well as previous DLC being included completely, which includes the new characters, weapons, and animal orbs. So that's awesome. There's supposedly going to be HD Rumble feature, 4-player Joy-Con support. For whatever reason, the PlayStation 4 version is going to have lights on the controller that will allow you to see the light of your knight, kind of, I guess. So if you have a green knight, your controller will glow green. Wow, what a feature. Well, anyways, it doesn't really matter. It's just nice that it's coming to the PlayStation 4 and the Switch. In the blog, though, the developers did address if there's going to be a Castle Crashers sequel, which a lot of people want to know about. They said, quote, "I often see people claim that we would never make a sequel." That's the designer Dan Paladin said in a post. He said, "That's not accurate. We might make one someday, but it would have to hit all the right points at all the right times. It has to be a product that would end up vastly improved, rather than more of the same, which is only something we can accomplish with gaining experience." I would like to disagree 100%. Castle Crasher developers, I'm not full of myself, but if you are, for whatever reason, watching this, listening to this, please, God, just give me a Castle Crashers 2 with more of the same. Everybody absolutely loves Castle Crashers. You don't have to do anything radically different. I'm sure people would absolutely love it. I would love it. Please, God, give me a Castle Crashers 2, even if it is more of the same. Nintendo forgot that you can't complete StarTropics without the original NES manual. Yeah, so a lot of original NES games had weird things with the manuals where you would be required to reference something on the manual or maybe call a number for whatever reason. Very, very silly things, obscure things. Nintendo does things. Well, anyways, what ends up happening is you get to a point in the game where you actually have to pull a piece of your manual out and soak it in water to reveal a message, which is a number. And the person will sit there and wait until you give them the number. This is a code that you need. 747 is apparently the code. Now, in the version that's available on the Wii U, they do include it in the Wii U manual, but in the Switch itself, there really isn't any inclusion of this. So technically, if you didn't have the internet, not understanding how you could play this game without the internet, but if you just couldn't access Google for whatever reason, you couldn't finish this game. So that sucks. It also introduced the idea that when we are preserving games, we need to be extremely cautious because these things seem to continue to crop up where the preservation of the games are extremely important, but they do hit impasses where people forget things. Like Nintendo themselves, they forgot to include this tiny little bit of information that was 100% necessary to finish the game. It would be like playing Metal Gear Solid without being able to look at the back of the game and get the codec from the individual that you need to call them from. So again, it's a problem with game preservation, and hopefully it will be recognized more and more in the future. Nintendo has seen fit to keep the beat and keep Hyrule safe with the new Crypt of the Necrodancer version coming to the Nintendo Switch, but it's not just Crypt of the Necrodancer, it's the Crypt of Hyrule. Cadence of Hyrule, to be more specific. The Legend of Zelda Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring Legend of Zelda in this game. Now, this seems like an interesting game. It's kind of like Zelda skinned Crypt of the Necrodancer with some new characters, new features, different things going on. It's still Crypt of the Necrodancer, but I find it very, very interesting that Nintendo actually worked with an indie developer to kind of reskin the game and make something very, very unique and extra that was not originally present. I don't know how far this is going to go in the future because in my next story, I'm discussing how developers from Microsoft approached the Cuphead developers and wanted them to make a Switch version, which extends into how interesting our gaming times are. There was someone on Twitter, they were talking to one of the Cuphead devs, and they stated that Microsoft actually approached them and wanted them to make a Switch version. Pretty crazy times we're living in. But that's not where the Cuphead news ends, ladies and gentlemen. Cuphead's creator actually wants him in Smash Bros. So he's talked about that. He said, "I've dreamed of Smash Bros. Cuphead and Mugman belong there." So basically, if fans want it, I couldn't see how Nintendo wouldn't want fans to get what they wanted. Oh my. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my god. I know this is supposed to be a lightly edited episode, and I should keep my composure because this isn't one of my other videos that I usually do. But oh my god. Excuse me, Cuphead developer. I really appreciate your candor here. But I don't know if you've noticed, Waluigi is not in Smash Brothers. Neither are tons of other characters people are just dying to see go into Smash Brothers. That's basically how the interview went. Nintendo want to keep their fans happy, so if people ask for Cuphead in the game, and yeah. And when he was asked about like what character it would be most like, he said like the Ice Climbers, where Mugman and Cuphead will work together. Personally, I could see Cuphead working very, very well as more of a long-ranged character. Shooting stuff like that, just like he does in his game. But hey, that's just me. Anyways, keep hoping. I hope and wish for the best. I really would like to see Cuphead. I think he would fit in the Smash universe very well. Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist. Link Evolution comes exclusively to the Switch this summer. There's really not much else to say about this other than what you can get from it. You can build and customize a deck from 9,000 cards. Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card video game, really cool. I like Yu-Gi-Oh! a lot. You can challenge other players with local play or Nintendo Switch Online. Link Monster cards are not the only addition or change. Seasoned Duelists can play in their cards, but where they can play them. You can take on the roles of the animated series villains with reverse duels, which is extremely cool. Can't wait to be Bandit Keith and say, "America!" And also, you can compete with battle packs, sealed play, and draft play, which is sounding pretty cool too. And it includes all previously released Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy Duelist content. So that's awesome. Can we get Toon Blue Eyes, Toon Summon Skull? All of those. I can't wait to play this. That's going to be awesome. Limited Run Games has introduced several limited games that you would definitely want to get your hands on. A lot of them are for pre-order right now. You can go ahead and check into that. I would strongly suggest that you get your hands on them while you can. Limited Run Games do get more copies of these in, but it could be months to years before it happens. So make sure you get your hands on them when you can. Customize your vehicle and however you want in Team Sonic Racing. From car parts to colors to decals. Yeah, so this is cool. The newest Sonic game is definitely confirmed to be in development, and traditionally the racing games that Sonic has put out, the Sonic team and the developers over at Sega, do very, very well with it, minus the other one Sonic racing game that was just absolutely awful. Yeah, that game. Anyways, this one's really, really good, looking good. I can't wait to get my hands on it. It's basically what we had before, Sonic and Sega's All-Star Racing Transform, but instead of the transformed aspect being emphasized, you're going to be able to uniquely customize your racing vehicles, which is cool. I'm supposing that Mario Kart will probably go into the next direction with this similarly, but who can say? Announcing State of Play. Yeah, so PlayStation has a weird broadcast that's going on where they're going to be talking about all kinds of PlayStation stuff, software updates, and announcements for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation VR. It's going to take place March 25th, 2019 at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This actually caused Nintendo Direct to trend because a lot of people were comparing it to Nintendo Direct. Yeah, and again, hey, shocker, Sony's like copying Nintendo. Wow, I've never seen that before. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, it's just kind of silly. Valve wants to investigate Epic Games Store use of Steam files. So what has happened is that the Epic launcher is apparently accessing Steam-related files, apparently without users' permission. Wow, shock. Would you look at that? Epic in the news again for very, very bad things. There's a lot to the story, and it's pretty complex, and a lot of computer jargon, legal issues, A lot of stuff that's going to be happening. Again, this is just the investigation level of things, but at the end of the day, if the investigation is founded and Epic has been cited to be accessing users' information and data without permission, this is going to be a big problem. Epic went on to say this: "We are looking into what information the Epic launcher collects from Steam. This is private user data stored on the user's home machine and not intended to be used by other programs or uploaded by any third-party service." So there you go. You can hear it. Obviously, Epic and Steam do not have a good relationship. If it is true that they are stealing people's files without permission, that's an egregious violation of privacy and can be pretty hefty in the fine department. Valve plans Steam's facelift with library redesign as well, and new events page. So yeah, the library is going to look different. It looks more similar to how a lot of companies are doing it today, with the game cover being displayed, and you're going to be able to, access it based upon the game's cover, and it's supposed to look a lot nicer, a lot more clean, a lot more streamlined. I am almost 100% opposed to this. I like a very categorized type of experience. Personally, I don't really need these complex images being loaded in, considering I have so many Steam games. I have over 1,000 Steam games, so it's going to be a lot of loading my computer's going to have to do. Not that my computer can't do it, but I just like to keep things simple instead of pretty. That's just how I am. So hopefully they will allow you to keep the old mode and allow you to view things in the most basic of aspects. The events mode is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a tab that's going to allow you to look around and see what's actually going on with certain video games, especially big ones that have certain events happening at any given time. So it's not just going to be on the front page, you're going to actually be able to check a tab. So that's a good idea, I think. Vampire Masquerade, the Bloodlines 2 is coming out. Wow. So in the department of games I never thought I'd see get a sequel would be Vampire Masquerade. This was an interesting game series which included a lot of stuff from the fantasy world. Obviously, it's in the name. I don't really have to go over what this game's about. But yeah, this isn't necessarily picking up after 15 years ago, but instead they're going to choose a new tale in a city that's not really been explored in darkness fiction. If you've ever wanted to be a vampire and go on the hunt, you're probably going to enjoy this game quite a lot. So make sure to check into it if you've played the original or you've never played it at all. If you like what you see in the trailer and previous gameplay, you might like this. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice has come out. Now, I have to give a disclaimer. I was sent a key code for this game absolutely free from my partner organization, Broadband TV, and the publishers alike. So again, it's from Software, and the publisher being Activision. They sent me this game for free, 100%. That's my disclaimer. You heard it. I am not hiding anything at all. However, it was sent to me so late, I did not get to play through this game entirely for my own personal review. But I have looked at it, played it, I've seen many reviews, listened to a lot of people's commentary on it, and it matches up pretty much with how I'm feeling right now. The game is absolutely stunning. It's a masterpiece. Basically, it takes you into the world of what Dark Souls would be, but in feudal Japan, mixed with a lot of fantasy. This guy's got a cool robot arm that becomes a multi-purpose tool, allowing you to get around. The game focuses on and centers on the aspect of being able to resurrect yourself with kind of a double-edged sword, featuring, unfortunately, the risk of causing NPCs plague and issues depending on how much you abuse the power. There are specific powers, unique abilities that this game focuses on rather than achieving armor and different weapons. Your goals are to, of course, defeat bad guys. Bad guys come at you, you need to learn how they strike. You can parry strikes, you can guard against strikes, you can dodge strikes, things like that. It's the Dark Souls formula retooled and put into a game that would be a lot more friendly to people who aren't necessarily into the punishing brutality of Dark Souls. But don't get it twisted for 1 minute. This game is very difficult and brutal. It's a mature game for a reason, and it is from Software who developed the game. So again, don't be confused about it. It's not going to be a walk in the park. But it does give you several chances, and it's not a traditionally online game, meaning you actually pause the game and take a break. You don't have to play through an hour segment and hold the bathroom break or wait to answer the call because you might be invaded or killed. So definitely a gorgeous game, a very, very nice game. And I was able to get it on the Xbox One as well as the PC, so I will be playing through that a lot more. Again, not a full review here, just a nice snapshot. A lot of people reviewing it, giving it 9s, 9.5s. Some people saying it's a perfect game, and I have to agree 100%. Of all the games I've played, this is one of the absolute best ones that I've had the experience yet in 2019. Thank you very much From Software and my partners for sending it to me. So we're going to continue on. Devil May Cry 5, voice actor pulls racist and transphobic videos from his own YouTube channel. This guy stated that it was edgy comedy, and it's being labeled as racist and transphobic. Well, it was a parody. So again, technically, you can do a parody of anything. Stated he was truly sorry, he apologized, but he did state that he's wanting to be a professional stand-up comedian as a voice actor his entire life. That's what he does. And he does voices and impressions for a living. He's also Jewish, grew up in Detroit primarily, black neighborhoods. The voices of characters reflect his life experiences. And see, this is where I have a massive problem with people taking issue with racist comedy. If you grew up in the ghetto, you're obviously going to have humor and comedy towards a lot of your life experiences. And a lot of people would say, well, that's racist. Well, if you grew up in the middle of nowhere in the country and you start making fun of farmers and the country life, again, is that necessarily racist to do stuff like that? I mean, obviously people are going to subjectively interpret what you do, but at the end of the day, I think it's pretty pathetic that somebody cannot even be a comedian on their own YouTube channel. Some of his comedy is edgy, he stated, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion, what they think is funny and what they don't think is funny. But don't refer to him as being a racist. This is what he, again, has stated. He does not come from a place of hate with this work. He removed the videos because he thought it was the right thing to do. And he also stated that he was never portraying in blackface at all. He's wearing a multicolored ski mask and doing a music review on a new artist's album as a character. So, for what it's worth, I gotta tell you, I think it's pretty pathetic that we're still raising up in arms over jokes. The death of comedy is definitely assured with the ushering in of political correctness. How much of gaming will be left after Google Stadia? This is an interesting article that's talking about how video game preservation is ending, how speedrunning will be affected, fighting games, things like that. And again, I've already talked about Google Stadia, but I don't think it's going to succeed that well, so I don't even think we have to worry about it that much. I think that when you have a streaming service and the service is supposed to be free and you're going to be addressing a lot of players, more like casuals instead of just hardcore gamers, it's interesting when you think about how many of these people will buy something and then just toss it away and not care about it. There's plenty of people out there, hardcore gamers like, who will buy a game and just never play it again. That's just how it goes. And what is Stadia going to do about video game preservation, especially if a game comes to them and is only on the Stadia platform? How long will a computer last in a vacuum-sealed, temperature, climate-controlled chamber with it being on a hard drive, an SSD, or something else? What will we have to print that on? Who would be able to acquire that? And would people in the future ever be able to play that game ever again? It's a good question. It's curiosity. Lots of games have been lost over the years. Plenty of games that a lot of people can't even play currently because of things like this. They just get lost, people throw them away, they don't want them anymore. Nevertheless, it is an important aspect to address when we're talking about a streaming-only console. Also, Walmart is working on a Stadia competitor, I guess? There's not much to this. It's a report, so it's more than just a rumor. US Gamer has been talking and chatting and found out that Walmart has been trying to recruit some game developers and publishers since earlier this year. I don't really know if it's going to be for a Stadia competitor, but they do and have started selling laptops and partnering with more gaming-oriented people positions and trying to take up a more proactive PC side of things. So we're going to have to see what comes out of it. Would you buy a Walmart gaming platform? I don't think I would, but Walmart is Walmart. They carry what they carry, and you do what you do. So it's really your choice at the end of the day. I'd like to hear from you, though. So finally, I want to close on a high note. Epic Games, despite their problems with Steam earlier, is announcing $100 million in Mega Grants program at GDC. So Mega Grants awards range from $5,000 to $500,000 and will be the sole ownership over their projects, whoever is receiving these grants. Again, grants given money, you do not have to necessarily return anything unless otherwise stated. These grants are going to end up being associated with the program for ambitious game developers, media content creators, students, and teachers. So that's pretty cool. I gotta say, that's awesome. You can apply for the grant, but again, good luck. There's going to be tons of gamers out there applying for the grant to just end up making, I don't know, a video game show on YouTube and things like that. So it's a good question on whether or not you're going to end up getting a grant, given any type of money to do anything. It's just up to you, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think? Do you think you're in for it? Would you like a grant to make tons of games, make awesome games? You let me know in the comments down below. Well, that'll do it for this episode of The News You Missed. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen and watching this recap. If you enjoyed it, you can go ahead and click that like and share button. You can drop a comment down below with any of these stories, and you can click the subscribe button. Once again, this is just a podcast formatted styled video, so anyone who is watching it intently, I'm sorry to disappoint you with the lack of editing, but I do splice in articles and stories for a very specific reason. Citation is important, and I think a lot of people fail that a lot in our world. Now, I've been your host, Protomario, and I'm signing out. I've got to go ahead and get a drink because my throat is dying. And again, I just want to thank you for tuning in. As always, good gaming, God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.